In today's session, we are having a very distinguished speaker. She is known for her abilities to guide teams in achieving their potential. She develops and delivers training on topics ranging from technical to soft skills. Also advises organizations on various fields of management. Furthermore, building methodologies and supporting project management offices and groups. She is the co-founder of Leadership Formation, a consulting firm focused on helping organizations with strategy, alignment, execution, and people. Please welcome Miss Mary Elizabeth Diab.
Okay. All right, we're just going to... Thank you. Wow, this is a great crowd. The first thing I want to do is find out how many of you are students. Oh, very good, very nice. Okay, the second thing I'm going to do is, we're in a networking session, so I'm going to make you uncomfortable from the beginning, which is always my goal. I want everybody to stand up. I see that a bunch of you came in groups, you know people, and I want you to go and sit next to someone you don't know. So the only requirement is, you don't know them today. Come on, get moving. You can do it. I know you can. You came here. Thank you. Yeah, here's fine. Sorry. Okay, very good. Now everybody please do take a seat, preferably next to someone you didn't know before you walked in tonight. Again, by coming here, you've demonstrated that you're interested in getting better at meeting people, because this is what networking is all about. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to go over what is networking, to make sure we're all on the same page. We're not talking about computers and joining computers together. So if anybody was here to talk about that, I assure you you'll be disappointed, but stay anyway, because if you were here to talk about that, you're probably a geek and you need it anyway, so it's okay. Then we're going to talk about how do you get ready to network? What do you need to do to prepare? We're going to talk about how you present yourself, and if you're an entrepreneur or in business, how do you present your business? We're going to talk about how do you get ready for a specific event as opposed to just in general. And then we're going to talk about how you follow up with your network. Now, I am American, which probably doesn't surprise anybody. I have a tendency to get excited about the topics because this is a fun thing to talk about, and I may talk too quickly. So if I do that, somebody just wave at me, and I'll slow down a little bit. Excellent, okay. But I do assure you that your English is much better than my Arabic. So, all right, I like to set expectations in the beginning, so my expectations of this session are very simple. If you have a cell phone or a pager, turn it off or put it on silent, please. I want you to actively participate. We'll have just a few exercises in this. When I've done this course in the past, it's actually had several longer exercises. We'll have just a few, but actively participate in them. I'd like you to suspend disbelief. You think some of the things I say, you may think they're crazy. Okay, but let me finish saying them before you think it. And don't sit next to your friends and colleagues. So you noticed I already tried to work with you on that one. Okay. So first we're going to talk about what is networking. Fundamentally, networking is building relationships. That's what it's all about. It's the process of meeting new people, but it's also the process of keeping the people that you already know, because you don't want to be in a situation where every day you meet somebody new, but you lose somebody for the person. You want to be building a network. It's also the process of developing mutually beneficial relationships. In other words, you help people and they help you, by helping them on receiving guidance and advice. And I will tell you that Jordan is an amazing place for this. I have found that everyone that I've wanted to talk to is willing to give advice. They could be the CEO of a large company, and they're willing to share what they've learned. And this is a wonderful thing. I think it comes from the hospitality culture, but it's a wonderful thing. So who can do networking? Anybody can do networking. That does not mean everybody's going to be great at it. Some of us are a little shyer. And although you may think this is completely contrary because I'm up in front of a large crowd, I'm a little nervous meeting people. So what you have to do is build your comfort by practicing doing it, building your ability to retain relationships, and accept that you might not ever come to love networking, but hopefully by practicing it, you'll at least get good at it. What does it take to network? And this is something all of you either have or can develop. You need to have a love of people. If you hate people, it's going to be hard to build a network. You need to be willing to be thought foolish or pushy. Because sometimes if you walk into a new room, it's going to be filled with people you don't know, all standing in circles. You may actually have to kind of push your way into the circle. Because it's natural that when we go into an environment, we stand and talk to our friends. This is the death knell. It's a horrible thing when you're trying to network. You don't want to talk to your friends. You want to meet new people. Networking, you have to be willing to invest time in it. It's not something that happens immediately. If I meet you today, that doesn't mean that we're going to be a connection right now. I have to keep talking to you. Okay, so some of you are sitting there thinking, but why would I want to do this? I don't like people. I don't want to know people. The reason that you network is it's a core element in identifying and building your professional skills. So especially for you students, you're here, you're learning a lot, which is wonderful, but a lot of what you're learning is from a textbook. Networks will help you learn to apply that in the real world, in a job. Networks are great because, as different from in a job, when you use a skill in your network, your boss doesn't see you if it doesn't go well the first time. So it gives you a safe place to fail. If you're already in business, it gives you a place to meet potential business partners, customers, vendors, and employees. If you're a student, it gives you a potential place to meet employers, which is always a welcome thing. So it can open doors for you and for your business, and it can be fun. It really can. Okay, so here I'm talking a little bit about where and how do you build a network. Okay? There are lots of ways to build a network. Just by meeting people, going out on campus and talking to people, you can build a network. But to build the kind of network that we're talking about, one of the great things you can do is volunteer in an association or a group. Being involved, not just attending meetings, actually get involved in leadership. So for instance, DART. How many of you are involved in DART here on campus? Excellent, so you've got a head start already. So this is a great example of a type of association. Some of you are probably looking at graduation and thinking, what am I going to do? A great place to start meeting people in the professional field you want to work in is their professional association. So you could go to a professional interest group. There are also service organizations like the JCs and the Lions Club and the Rotary Club or Rotaract. Obviously, you have a built-in network. Everyone has a built-in network everywhere. And I find that in Jordan, those networks are particularly large. You have family and friends. If you're from a small family, it's still a large network, I promise, compared to US small families. And so you ask your family or friends, who do they know who has some knowledge about this topic that you're interested in or the skill that you want to build? Who do they know that does that? So when you're at weddings and engagements and parties, these are great times to meet people because it's kind of a gentle time when you don't have to worry about selling yourself, but you get to meet new people and find out a little bit about them. Work functions. If you're working, whether it's part-time or full-time, see if you can get involved in any parties that they might be having. Help plan the parties. It helps get you out of your comfort zone and meet people from other areas. Association or group meetings outside your usual comfort zone. You might have an interest about something that you really know absolutely nothing about. That's a great place to go and learn more while building a network among people you don't already know. A lot of times what I find happens is I go into a meeting and I know everybody in the room. Well, how is that helpful to me or to them? I need to go places where I don't know everybody in the room. And the final one I list as other skill-building organizations like Toastmasters. How many of you have actually heard of Toastmasters? Excellent. Toastmasters is a great organization. It helps you build skills in public speaking. Now, I'm telling you, I'm selling this organization, not being a member, never having been a member. But I know lots of people who have been, and they were people who, in the beginning, were particularly bad at public speaking. And by the end, they were particularly good. And so it helps build skill, but I think Toastmasters is a perfect organization to help build networking ability. because you're learning to meet people and you're learning to speak in front of groups. And if you can speak to a group of 200 or 50 or 30, you can speak to one person in front of you. So, how do I build this network? I need to build a network. I don't have much of a network other than my family and friends who are helpful, but my mom doesn't really understand what I'm talking about when I want to meet somebody. One of the things you can do is either become part of or start a networking group in an area that interests you. If you're interested in micro photography, find other people who are interested in that too. If you can't find a group that exists today in Jordan, make up your own. Participate in networking time at conferences. After this session, there's going to be a networking time. Now, you have two options. You can either rush home because it's late and you want to eat or whatever, you want to go out with your friends, or you can spend time meeting the people who are here that you don't already know. I would recommend that you do the second, not the first. Spend time. Don't use breaks in conferences and in meetings as time to check your email or time to call in and call your friends. Use this as a time to meet the other people at the event. Give talks related to your field of expertise. Some of you are students saying, I don't really have a field of expertise. I guarantee you, with everyone in the room, I can find at least one thing you know a lot more about than I do. Even though I'm significantly older than most of the people in the room, you all know something I don't know. You can teach me something. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later and help you identify things that you can offer in a networking situation. But if you give talks related to your field of expertise, you not only build more expertise, but you build a much greater network. As an example, this course is not something that I started out doing many years ago. It's something that YEA originally came to me and said, do you know anything about networking? And I said, well, yeah. And they said, well, can you do a course for us? And I said, well, sure, why not? And so I went out and developed this little course on networking. You can also write about your fields of expertise for newsletters, whether they're online or not, doesn't matter, magazines. Just get talking about them because that helps you get your name out there and it helps you meet other people. Attend local industry trade shows and look for groups or associations, again, that target people who are not like you. So for instance, I am not a techie. I can't, if my computer works, I'm happy. That's really about the extent of my technical expertise. I can manage a software development project, but I don't have any clue what they're doing on the backside. But that means it's helpful for me to go find people who can do that, to build a network. I know a bunch of people who do that very well, because when I get stuck, I need somebody to call. Now, in Jordan, we have a little bit of a challenge, I find it. Often we'll find we don't have a lot of people in this particular area that I might be interested in with a lot of deep knowledge. So I might need to build a virtual network. I might need to find people who are outside of Jordan, which is great. It's a little bit harder. It can be done. Meeting in person often strengthens a virtual relationship. But you can seek out opportunities to get mentored by someone or mentor someone who's not in Jordan. It's a great idea. You can do this through email, bulletin boards, online communities, e-meetings, conference calls, all these kinds of things are possibilities. And with Skype and other technology, everything's possible. So now you're thinking, okay, so I've built a network. When do I do this networking thing? The frequency of networking activity depends on you and your comfort level and what makes you interested and excited. Monthly, it's a great idea to try and attend at least one networking type event with the objective to maintain your contacts and maybe meet a couple of new people. Quarterly, you should make sure you contact pretty much everybody who's in your network already to get their news, because within at least 4 times a year, people usually have new news. They have things that have changed in their lives, and you want to keep up with that. Once a year, it's a good idea to host an event for those people. Maybe have them over to your house for a barbecue. Maybe take them out for hummus and falafel. It doesn't matter. Do something that they'll enjoy. And daily, every day, keep your eyes open for new people that look interesting, that might have a skill you need, that you'd like to develop. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, good, fine, but how do I get ready to do this? This is what I find is actually the thing that people spend the least time on that's the most important, preparing to network. Why does it matter? You prepare to network because it builds your confidence and comfort. This is especially important if you're a little uncertain in situations where you walk into a crowded room and you don't know anybody. Not everybody is like that. My mother-in-law walks into a room, in 5 minutes she knows everybody in the room. Me, I walk into a room, in 5 minutes I know one person, in 10 minutes I know 2 people, maybe. And so for me, getting ready is the most important thing. Understanding why you want to build your network. What are you looking for? Being clear on what you have to offer. Again, that's one of the things that can be very intimidating, is thinking, I don't really have anything to offer my partner, this person I'm going to network with. And everyone in the room has something to offer. And you'll be ready then to clearly communicate who you are. And this is important. So, networking goals. Why are you interested in networking? You all came here, so you have some interest in networking, whether it's to find a job, whether it's to meet new people, whether it's to see if there are any cute guys in the audience, it doesn't matter. You're all here for a reason. So, possible goals. Understanding what you want to gain, this is going to be your road to success. So possible goals could be finding someone to help you develop or improve skills. I know people that I have given a network contact because they needed to learn to dress more professionally. And I have a particular guy, who always looks polished and looks fabulous when he goes out. So I give them his name and say, go talk to him and let him help you buy a suit. Personally, I find at different times in my life there are skills I want to build. Like I said, I might want to become a little more technical, or I might not. But I might want to build better communication skills. I think my communication skills are pretty good, but I can always use someone who does it a little better than I do, especially if they know tricks for areas I'm not as comfortable in. Maybe I want to learn how to do marketing or public relations better, and I just met a new person to teach me to do that. So you can do this. Possible goals would be finding people to help develop those skills. Identifying new customers, potential customers for your business. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to start a business, then you're going to need to use these networking opportunities to find people who might be customers, might be interested in what you have to offer. You're also going to need to find suppliers and partners, because you're not going to be able to do everything, and you're not going to hire people to do everything. So building your network helps with these things. As an example, I needed a graphic designer very quickly. So I called the people in my network and got some recommendations, did a couple of interviews, and found someone who was fabulous. Also, you may just want to meet new social contacts. You might want to just make new friends, and that's a perfectly fine goal for networking as well. But each one of those goals requires you to think differently about the opportunities that you have. If I'm trying to meet new people, then I go to a different type of event than if I'm trying to find new customers. So, this is the time for our first exercise. Very simple. I would like each of you to take 5 minutes to think about, in general, what are your networking goals? Again, as I said, you came for a reason. You want to learn about something. You want to network for some reason. So I'd like you to jot down your goals, 3 goals. So what would you like to accomplish? Are there skills you'd like to improve? Is there a particular business goal you have at this point? So take 5 minutes, please, and write down 3 goals. If you don't have paper, use your cell phone. See, I have solutions for every problem. Although maybe we should be asking why students wouldn't have paper, but I won't go there. So I had a question, and I was going to actually answer that question later. Do we only need 3? Write as many as you have right now, and then we'll see who the overachievers are who end up with 5 and 6 and 7. No, but seriously, as many goals as you have right now, write them down. Writing them down will help you remember what they are when you're in a situation when you need to remember what they are. Okay, it looks like most people are done. Okay, so again, as I said, one of the things that can be very intimidating is thinking, I don't really have anything to offer. I know as a student, I really didn't think I had many skills. That was hard to see what I could offer to someone. So understanding how you're special helps you build confidence, and it also helps you know what you have to offer to a networking partner. So some of the things you aren't thinking about right now that could be helpful to your networking partners are you a great dancer? I'm not, by the way. I'm a terrible dancer. So if I could find a young lady out here who's a great dancer, that would be a great networking partner for me, because I'm really not. Do you always know what's going on, what events are going on in town, what's happening? Are you the person that all your friends call when it's Friday night and they need something to do? Are you known for your ability to state really difficult problems in a way that's simple and everyone can understand? That's a great skill. Are you diplomatic? Can you help build bridges between people who aren't getting along very well? This is also a great skill, not very common. Are you really good at saying things really well, even if you don't know what to say? These are the kinds of things that you may not be thinking of that you may have to offer someone. So you want to think about, what are the things my friends come to me for? We all have friends, I hope. If not, then you really need this course. But if you do, there's something that your friends look to you for, and honestly, if you're not sure what it is, ask them. This is always a good way to find out things that you may not even think about. They're just so second nature to you. Now we're going to do exercise number 2. I want you to spend 5 minutes, again, writing down ways that you can help people that you network with. So what do you have to offer? What are the things that are special about you? What do your friends come to you for? If you and I were going to have a networking relationship, tell me at least 3 things that you could offer. Okay? We coming close? Does most people have at least 3 things written down? You realize there's a test at the end, right? Okay, that test is a networking event, but still, it is a test, I assure you. Okay, so now the piece of paper in front of you, hopefully you all have a piece of paper or your cell phone or however you're doing this, has on it 2 things. What kind of things you need from a network and what things you have to offer a network. These are the 2 most important pieces of preparation before you network. These are the things that give you the confidence to know what you're looking for when you meet people and what you might have to offer them. And with each of these opportunities, you'll find that they need different things. One of the keys to networking is, surprise, listening. Listening is much, much, much more important than talking when you're networking with people, because the way that you'll learn both what they have to offer you and what you may be able to offer them is by listening to what they're telling you. Okay. Now, the next most important thing is learning to present yourself, and if you have a business, and your business, or if you want to form a business, this is very important, knowing how to present yourself. So, we're going to talk first about how you present yourself, and then about how you might present your business. This concept that I'm going to give you for presenting yourself, there's a lot more to it than I'm giving you kind of the tip of the iceberg, but it's the part that I find the most valuable. And it's called brand you. This is about thinking about yourself as if you're not just a person, you're actually a brand. Like Nike. I'm Emmy. It works. What it does is it helps you gather the things that are special about you into one little tiny sentence. Can you imagine summing up your entire self in one sentence? It helps others understand instantly who you are, not what you do, not you're an account manager, or a salesperson, or an engineer, but who you are. Don't worry, I'm getting there. Yes, I'll give an example. It also, hopefully, is engaging them and makes them want to know more about you. So if your statement is put properly, hopefully they'll ask, but how can you do that? And it lets you tell the world who you are and why they should care. Samples. I always give samples. Let me give you the first example. Ahmed is an accountant. He's a general finance guy. And usually he says, "Hi, I'm Ahmed. I'm an accountant with so-and-so," which tells you nothing about him, really. His brand you statement might be something more like, "I'm Ahmed, and I give numbers their meaning." I assure you, if you meet Ahmed and he says that to you, you're going to say, "How?" Because you're not going to believe it any more than I do. Mine could be, "Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth. About 3 years ago, I started my own company. I'm a director." That's really engaging you, isn't it? You're really excited and want to know more about me. However, if I took the approach of, "Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth. I help people and organizations reach their potential," you're more likely to think, number one, she's insane, and number two, now how do you do that? Because I want to know more, because I don't believe you. This is fine. You don't have to believe me because I'm going to explain it to you. And then I'm going to say, I do this through world-class training. I do this through business analysis, project management, human resources capacity building. But I also have another skill, and this doesn't have to do with the work that I do every day. I help people say what they mean and mean what they say in English. I really need somebody who helps me do this in Arabic, by the way, because when I say things, I usually don't know what I'm saying. So, these are some things that I bring to the table. These are some things that help expand on that one sentence. So, in my long class, by the way, in the past I've done this as a long class, we would actually develop a brand you statement. Each of you would develop one. We're not going to take that time now because we've got to get to the networking event, and that's the most important thing today. But I want you to think about that concept. Stop and take a look back and think, how am I special? What makes me unique? And how can I kind of gather those things that make me special into kind of one sentence that would make people want to know more about me? Okay. So now we're going to move from talking about me, myself, to talking about my business. For those of you who are in business, this is helping you now. For those of you who are interested in entrepreneurship, who believe you are entrepreneurs at heart, this is going to help you as you start developing that idea. It's going to help you learn how to sell it. And this is important for a variety of things. Number one, for, again, getting customers, for potentially getting venture capital, if you're going that route, if you think it's going to take that much, for presenting yourself to the community and understanding who you are. So the concept I'm going to give you here is called the elevator pitch. Many of you may have heard of an elevator pitch. The concept is it's the amount of time it takes to go from one floor to another in an elevator, because sometimes that's all the time you're going to get. If you're trying to reach someone who's very busy, you might in fact have 60 seconds to tell them who you are. You certainly won't have more than a minute and a half to get them interested. So this should be a clear, simple explanation of what your company does. What is it you do? And it should explain your company in less than 1 minute. And here's the key. The last one is really the key. It should be so easy to understand that your mom can tell others what you do. We all fail on this one. My mother-in-law, I still try and explain to her, but apparently we're just not simple enough. But this is the key, making it so simple that anyone can understand. The elevator pitch could include elements like, what is special about your company? I noticed down in Sofia, they have, the shawarma row. And there's a guy across the street who just opened a new shawarma shop. And I thought to myself, what is special about him that he wants to do this right here? He could go a block down and there's not a single shawarma shop, and people are going to stop there because it's the closest one. But he's right here, so he must think he has something really special. What is that something? I started a consulting company. Consulting companies are thick on the ground. There is no question about it. I thought I had something special. So you need to be able to tell people, what is it that's special about you? Do you have a different product or service? When you tell people, you need to focus on the customer, not the company. You need to talk about them, not you. And you want to try and give it a hook to draw in the listener. You also need to talk about, who is your market? Are you a specialty company? A single market? Are you regional? Do you have only one country focus, one sector or industry? Who is the market that your company responds to? You may want to tell them who's behind the company. In Jordan, I would strongly recommend it because everything's about the name. So, do you have a distinguished management team? Are there people that you have that are well known in the market? Have you worked with customers who are well known, who can vouch for your services? What is your competitive advantage? Do you have customized service? Have you got higher quality? What are you bringing to the table that gives you an advantage over all the other people who are doing what you want to do? For some of you, it may even be there is no one doing what you want to do. That's a great position to be in, but it means you're building a market. So you're going to have to be able to explain the other pieces of this very, very clearly. So here are some tips for effective elevator pitches. You want to keep it short. Again, you've got to be able to say it in about 1.5 minutes. That's not very long. You want to make it exciting. You should, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to make this statement and I'm going to make it very absolute. You had better be excited about what you're going to do. Because being an entrepreneur is not an easy road. Starting a new business from scratch is not an easy thing. And if you don't have passion and excitement about it, it will be nearly impossible to succeed. So be excited and let the other person see how excited you are. As I said, when I do this kind of training, I get really excited. And I start to talk really fast because I find this interesting. If you don't find the business you're going into interesting, don't go into it. Trust me on this. Keep it simple. Make it a clear idea. Use simple words, easy to understand ideas. Remember, mom has to understand it. For me, this one is hard. I'm used to using bigger words than people here are familiar with. There's no problem with that, but it means I have to think about that as I talk about my company and what we do. Write it down. First write it, then say it out loud, then rewrite it. You want to adapt this to the audience. If you're in an audience that's in your field and what you're going to be doing is fairly technical, it's okay if your elevator pitch is a little more technical. But if you're talking to your mom, it better not have any technical jargon at all. And the last one is practice, practice, practice. Because the first time you say it, you're going to feel really weird. And the second time you say it, you're going to feel slightly less weird, but still very strange. It's not going to feel natural or comfortable. You want to get to the point where when someone asks you about the company, this is the first thing that comes to your mind. Immediately, that's what you say. It's often advisable to get everyone involved. If you have employees or partners, get them involved. If you have customers, use them. Your customers, as I said with your friends personally, your customers have often identified something that they value particularly about you that you may not even realize is a strength. You may think everybody in the market does it and they don't. And your customers will help you know that. Review it. Make sure that everything is still the same. And make sure the people on your team are still using it. Because what you really want is for everyone in your organization, when asked, to say the same thing. When I've done this training in the past, I did it with a whole big group of people from one of the large banks in town. They were all from the same unit in the bank. I asked them what they do, and there were 10 of them in the room, 10 different answers for what the company does and what their unit does. They didn't have the ability to deliver an elevator pitch. They weren't all on the same page in telling me, what is it that's special about your unit? How are you different than the other banks? I literally asked the exact same question every time, and I got completely different answers. I even tried to lead some of them to the same answers and got different ones. So you want to make sure that's not happening. If you have partners, you want to make sure that you're all on the same page. So what are the pitfalls with this elevator pitch concept? Well, it's good to get excited. But like I said to you guys, if I get too excited and I talk too quickly, you don't understand what I'm saying. You have to make sure you're not getting too excited and not finishing sentences. We've all been in conversations with someone who'll start halfway down and then move to... That's not very helpful when you're trying to explain to someone about your company. You don't want to rush ahead and skip important information. And again, you have to be confident. This is part of, I think, about being excited about what you're doing. If you are excited, you are more likely to be confident that you're going to make it. You need confidence in yourself and your company. It's definitely a pitfall to not allow your passion to come through. I've talked to people about their business. They made it sound dull. Why do I want to work with somebody, or why do I want to have as a customer, or why do I want to work with somebody who doesn't like their own business? If they can't be excited about it, how am I going to be? You definitely do not want to have in an elevator pitch material that is complex, detailed, or jargon-oriented. I used to work for a company. When people asked me what I did, I asked one of the engineers, by the way, what the company did, and he gave me this long explanation about how we manufacture semiconductors for the blah, 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 blah. What? I said, yeah, we make those little machines that clean the chips that go in your computer. Which one of us do you think people remembered what they do? So you've got to make sure you're not using really complex technical words that nobody knows. Your presentation can't be missing crucial information. And here's an important one: give people a chance to ask questions. If you're really excited about your company, that's great. But if you don't give them the chance to relate to it, you're likely to lose them. Okay, so I'm not talking anymore about that. I don't have any examples on this one, sorry. After just saying I have examples for everything. All right, so we talked in general about how I prepare to network. What I'd like to talk about now is, how do I prepare for a specific event? Not just in general, what do I want to get out of networking, but I now have something to go to. Like, immediately after this session, I have a networking session to go to. How do I get ready for that? The first thing that you want to do before you go to any kind of networking event is think about who may be in attendance, and if you need to, get that information either from the organizers or looking at who the target market for the event is. So for instance, when I went to the Global Entrepreneurship Week launch on Sunday night, I thought about who's going to be there. Who would I most like to talk to while I'm there? The answer, actually, I didn't know he was going to be there because I didn't read all the materials, but we're not going to admit that, was Ghassan Nukul. And he was there, and I got to talk to him. And so I thought in advance about the types of people I'd like to talk to, and happened to see one of them that I didn't expect to see there. But I knew what I was looking for. Review your goals and identify what contacts you want to make. So look at that sheet of paper in front of you. You listed 3 things, 3 kinds of contacts you want to make. Review it before you go into the event. Decide on your approach to the event, and I'll talk a little more about what that means exactly later. Spend time identifying specific people you think will be there that you'd like to meet, and if you get to meet them, what questions are you going to ask them? What do you want to talk to them about? And then know your brand you and your corporate pitch. Know how to talk about yourself, be comfortable with it, and be ready to talk about your company. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about approaches to the event, because experts don't agree on this one. And there are actually experts out there on this. But there are 2 primary kind of approaches, if you will. One's called sharpshooting, and the other is shotgun. So sharpshooting would be 1 bullet, right? Shotgun, you fire, and there's a whole bunch of different things going on. Sharpshooting, you're going to meet just a couple of people, a few people, but you're going to spend real time with them. Shotgun, you are doing what they call this session, speed networking. You want to meet as many people as possible as quickly as you can. You need to select one approach. It's not going to be very beneficial to you if you're kind of half here and half there. And the reason for that will become clear. Now, some of the reasons might be you're more comfortable only meeting a few people. That's a very valid reason. If you're new to networking and you're a little uncomfortable in these situations, then you want to spend a little more time with each person because it's a little less scary. If you want to build a database, you want a shotgun. You want to meet everybody you can if you're trying to build a marketing database. If there are specific skills you want to work on, you have to think about which of these approaches might let you do that best, depending on how easy it is to decide if somebody has that skill. You may find it easier to meet somebody quickly now and call them later to talk about who they are and what they have that they might have to offer you and you can offer them. So your approach may differ on your comfort zone for networking. You may be okay with meeting 3 people, but overwhelmed by meeting 10, and that's okay. So now let's look at what these two mean. Sharpshooting, if you're going to do this, you would make it a goal to meet 3 people. You prepare in advance. Again, you think about who you want to meet. And you focus then with these 3 people on 3 types of connections or skills you'd like to support. You're working at building a long-term connection, not working on collecting business cards. That's not what sharpshooting is about. You want to build the foundation for a relationship. So in the time you have, again, say you're going to an event that's 45 minutes long. If your goal is to meet 3 people, you're spending 15 minutes per person. You really want to find out what your networking relationship may be about at that event. You're not focused on the future and going to meet them for coffee. You're focused on right then. If you're doing the shotgun or the speed networking approach, your goal is to get out there and meet as many people as possible. So you might set a goal for yourself if you're spending 5 minutes per person. So again, say it's an hour-long event, divide that by 5, there you go. That's how many people you need to meet. So you're going to focus on finding one thing in common with them, one thing only, writing that down, and then contacting them later and building on that. The focus of Shotgun is the future relationship. You're going to go, meet them later, learn more, see who they are. Whereas sharpshooting, you're going to learn right now because you're going to spend some quality time with them at the event. So when you do the shotgun approach and you meet a lot of people very quickly, you have to remember that the next time you go see them, you can't go very quickly. Again, you're now going to need to spend time with them. I think one of the most important things is to prepare mentally before you do things. If you do speaking, I'm sitting here doing speaking in front of a reasonably large group of people. I need to be ready for that. I do mentally prepare before I do something like this. Before I go networking, I think about what are the key messages I want people to see? Who are the kinds of people I want to meet in this event? One of the things you can do, and this is especially useful if you're a little uncomfortable with the idea of networking, is to set yourself up as if you're the host. You stand near the door and you greet everyone when they come in. It can make it a little less intimidating. And after all, you're doing them a service because you're helping them when they come in feel welcome. Propel yourself to engage people and learn something new. Another thing that's very, very good to do is introduce people to each other. If you just met Joe, and then you meet Kevin, introduce Joe and Kevin. Number 1, it helps you remember them. And number 2, you're helping them make another connection. So that's really helpful. First impressions are everything. I know you all have heard this. You may or may not believe it, but first impressions are everything. You want to be neat and clean. You want to dress appropriately. If it's appropriate to wear business attire, don't go in jeans. It is noticeable. People will make an assumption based on that. Be on time for the event. I should say this one again, because in Jordan this is countercultural. Be on time for the event. This one has a benefit if you're shy, because if you're on time, you'll be 15 minutes earlier than everyone, and you can greet everyone when they come in the door. I do this with my daughter. My oldest daughter is when we moved to Jordan in particular, she was scared to death of everyone. She didn't want to talk to new people. If we walked into a crowded room that was a little bit loud, she'd freak out. So when she started school, she was the first kid in the classroom, and everybody came in around her. And she had no problem at all with it. Even when it got loud, it was okay because she was there already. So if you're the kind of person that finds that a little uncomfortable to walk into a crowded, loud room, go at the beginning, go on time, you'll be before everyone else, it'll be a beautiful thing. The other thing I will say is bring business cards. I'm going to talk more about business cards in a minute. During the event, while you're there, what's the most important thing? Attitude. Attitude is the most important thing in an event. Even if you're a self-conscious person, a little bit nervous, kind of shy, you need to overcome that. You want to be genuine, meaning you truly think the way you're speaking, and authentic. Show enthusiasm for the people that you meet. If you walk up to someone and they introduce themselves and they're just like, yeah, they're not going to be that interested in maintaining and networking with you. Treat others with respect and be available to them, because I say the world is very small. Let me say this differently. Amman is the smallest large city I've ever lived in. The smallest. I went to an event with the Queen Rania Center for Entrepreneurship. I went to an evening event, a dinner. I sit down at a table. I smile at the woman across from me, because I always smile at people. And she looks at me and she says, oh, you're from Beit Diab, aren't you? I'm like, what? Who is this woman? She's like, I know your father-in-law and your mother-in-law and your husband. I'm like, well, that was kind of a surprise. I told my mother-in-law. She laughed and laughed. I had no expectation of seeing them at that event. I didn't even recognize the woman. She'd seen me at church, and I didn't even know, okay, you know? So it's a very small town. I rarely go, okay, I've lived in Amman 3.5 years. I rarely go somewhere that I don't know somebody. This is a small town. If you are rude and impolite to people, they will remember, and everyone they know will know about it. The other thing I would remind you of is the little people today will run the company tomorrow. So when you're in a situation where you're an entrepreneur, you want to be nice to secretaries. Secretaries in particular are a gold mine. If you want to see the boss and you make his secretary mad, you will never see him. Ever, ever, ever. I promise you this. So you want to be nice to everyone you meet. You want to treat everyone with respect, whether they're the janitor, the office boy, the secretary, or the CEO. Remember that as you network with people, you're building trust as the foundation for the relationship. The way that you approach your relationship will define what you're going to get out of it. Attitude. That's one of those words that's really hard to define. Attitude is your approach to the event. I'll give you a few examples. If I walk in like this, as opposed to if I walk in like this. So attitude is how I'm thinking about the event I'm going into. Am I thinking it's a waste of time? If I think it's a waste of time, it will be a waste of time. 100% guarantee. Okay, and this would be my next point. Watch your language. Don't cross your arms. It makes you seem unapproachable. If I'm standing around like, I might be cold. I tend to get cold. Take a jacket. Take a sweater. Because if you're crossing your arms, people think you don't want to meet them. Smile at people to let them know you're interested in networking. You may see somebody who's kind of wandering around. Your smile may be the thing that gives them the courage to approach you. Do it. It doesn't cost you anything. Well, in Jordan, maybe it does, but it doesn't cost you anything. If possible, here's a key I'm going to give you. Seeing all these people who came in and sat together, attend the event alone. This is the scariest way to do it. It's much easier to go with a friend. But what happens when we go with a friend? We network with a friend, which is not really helping our goal of networking. If you do attend with a friend, take someone along that doesn't know anybody who's going to be there so you can introduce them. When I went to the Global Entrepreneurship Week launch, I'm plugging this a lot as if I have something to do with it, but at any rate, when I went to the launch, which by the way was a fabulous event, I took a friend who doesn't know anybody in town. She's new. And I introduced her to everybody I know, which wasn't that many people. Well, maybe it was, but it was such a big crowd, it didn't seem like many people. But it put me in the position of hostess. I was introducing her to other people, and as I met people, I was introducing her to them. It helped me remember them, and it helped us all network a little more than if I just stood around talking to her. One of the things that you can do is give an unexpected answer to a routine question. In Arabic, this is one of those things that's nice to learn, but a little challenging. You have what I would call set responses. So if you greet someone, you say, Kif halak? And they're going to say, Tamam. ashkurallah. They're going to say something, and it's always going to be one of 5 or 6 responses. And everything in Arabic has a set response, which is great, except if you say something unexpected, people will remember you, and they'll want to know more. In the US, by the way, we do the same thing. Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. And yet when I say, oh, I'm amazing, people instantly want to know more. And when they go back in the evening and think about the event, they think, oh, this is the gal who was amazing. It helps set you apart in their minds. Remember, you're going to meet a bunch of people. So are they. So the other thing it can do is kind of break the ice if you're a little uncomfortable. If you say something that's kind of funny, and I can't give you an example because I'm not funny in Arabic at all, but if you say something that's kind of funny, it will help make people a little more comfortable with you. Okay. Did the computer die, or does it just not like me? See, I told you I'm not technical. I'm going to keep doing this, and then it's going to go forward 50 slides. Yes, it's not moving. I'm telling you.
You have to do commercials.
It's me. I'm telling you. Computers hate me, by the way. Just so that you all know this. Computers hate me. See? All he had to do was press one button, and it worked. Okay, this is something that I think is important in a networking situation. Learn to make graceful entrances and exits. When you're talking to someone, if I'm standing and talking to you, but I'm always looking at the door, and you're over here, I'm sending you a couple of messages. One of them is, I'm waiting on somebody better to come along. I hate people like this, by the way. This is one of my pet peeves. It drives me crazy. I know a gal, the nicest gal in the world, and she does this every time. And I finally took her aside and said, look, this is what you're telling me. You're telling me you're waiting on somebody better. She was horrified, because she really is nice. She just finds it easier not to look directly at people. She finds it easier to look, well, okay, but don't look at the door. Look somewhere else. Look at a wall. Look at the ceiling. I don't mind. But at the door, it makes me feel like you can't wait to get away. When you need to leave, and this can be a bit of a challenge, I will admit, because sometimes you get hold of that networking person, that networking partner, who just wants to talk the whole time. And they just keep talking. And they keep talking. And they keep talking. The first thing to try is tell them how nice it was to meet them. Gracefully say, I really enjoyed meeting you. I would like to get in touch with you later. I'll see you around. And try and make an exit. Now, there are those people, I call them clingers. They'll hold on to you, and they keep talking. They exist. I know this. And perhaps the best thing to do is say, I need to go to the bathroom. Or, I'm going to go get something to drink. Basically, you provide a distraction to get away. And that's okay as long as you do it gracefully and it doesn't look like you're trying to flee from them. It just looks like you genuinely need to go to the restroom. And I understand, by the way, I take Arabic. I understand you actually have a word for needs to go to the bathroom very badly. This is impressive. I love that about Arabic. One word. Man, in English you have to say 15 words to say it. Okay, so fear is your worst enemy. Absolutely your worst enemy. There are some strategies to overcome it. As I've talked about before, practice, practice, practice. Everything you're going to say. Here's what I like to do. This is kind of my approach to life, honestly. Think about the outcomes and say to yourself, what's the worst that could happen? If I go up and talk to that person standing there, what's the worst that could happen? They don't want to talk to me. So what? You know, if you think about it, well, that's not that bad. Okay, so they don't want to talk to me. That's all right. If you think about the worst that could happen, you're more likely to realize what's likely to happen is they will talk to you, and you'll get to know them, and you'll enjoy them. Practice with friends so you aren't learning new skills on strangers. This can make it easier. Go to a party where you know most everybody and network with a few people you don't know. It gives you a comfort zone, but it gives you a little skill in doing this. Take an active role in the event. I can't tell you how good this one is. If you can, hold a portion of the event, host it. Say, I'll take care of the game, I'll take care of the music, I'll take care of the... It automatically gives you, number one, a sense of a reason to be there, and number two, a way to connect with people. So if you can take an active role in the event, it can set you at ease and overcome that fear a lot more quickly. How do you meet people at these events? Because that's kind of the scary part, isn't it? The first thing I'm going to tell you is the person standing alone in the room may be the most interesting one there. They just may have taken my advice and gone alone instead of with a friend. And they're networking with other people instead of each other. So find the guy standing alone in the room and go meet them. We actually were at an event, my husband and I, and he did this. He went and met this guy who was all by himself. And he talked to him for a few minutes, enjoyed getting to know him. When we offered our next course, he was the first person to sign up. Great. It's awesome that wasn't why I went to talk to him, but it was awesome that that came out of it. It can help you in a lot of different ways. The other thing you can do is, if you see a group that you'd kind of like to join, go and kind of stand on the edge of the circle until you can either find a way into it or a conversational hook that you can add something to work your way in. Because sometimes people will be standing in a circle and not really realize how excluding they are being. They don't mean to be, and they'll probably welcome you in. Another one that's very good is beginning conversations in places where people stand in line or gather. Places like food lines, beverages. You can always find something to say about the food, right? And you can say it to a stranger without looking weird. Oh, look at the cookies. They look nice tonight. Nobody's going to say, okay, she's very strange. I'm going to run away from her. Well, they might, but okay. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the etiquette of introductions. Introductions are important. And when you introduce people, you should always say the name of the person that you're honoring first. So, if I'm introducing Princess Sumaya to someone, I would say Princess Sumaya's name first, because she's the honored guest. You should typically honor someone outside of your organization above someone inside, because they're the outsider. You always want to use equivalent titles. If you're introducing Mr. X and Mr. Y, that's fine. But don't say Mr. X and John Y. By doing that, you've already said Mr. X is more important and more interesting than John. If you want to use first names, no problem. I'm a big fan of first names. Use both first names. If you can, if you know something about these people, and if you've been networking, you should, tell them something about the other person that they might find interesting. So if I meet someone, and I have someone that I've just met, and I'm introducing them, I say, look, this person is great at marketing. Well, I've now added something to the conversation in addition to the introduction. And I've reinforced what I learned about this guy who I'm introducing to this guy. It's beautiful all around. Okay, this is a big one. I'm telling you this now. This is a big thing in Jordan, so I'm telling you right now. If you forgot somebody's name, admit it. Don't leave someone hanging because you don't remember their name. This is okay. We all forget names. We all do. Some of you may know me, and you'll come and talk to me, and I won't have any idea what your name is, but I'll know that I love you. I just don't know your name. It's okay. If you're with someone and you're culturally really uncomfortable admitting you don't know a name, have a signal. I have one with several friends. If I have no idea what your name is, I'll step back and let them introduce themselves. Then I get your name, and they do. But you've got to let them know you're going to do that. That's kind of important. So, let's see. I think I'm going to talk about this later. Yes, I am. Okay, when you introduce yourself, keep it simple. The first thing you lead with isn't your brand new statement, guys. The first thing you do is say, hi, I'm Jane Smith. Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth Diab. Pay attention to how the other person introduces themselves. Dale Carnegie, very brilliant man, said, a man's name to him is the most important sound in any language. If I say, as you've noticed, my name is Mary Elizabeth, it's not because I think you're interested in my middle name. I really don't think you're interested in that. I happen to use it. I come from the South in the US where everybody pretty much who has the name Mary has something with it. Mary Jo, Mary Ellen, Mary Sue. I just happen to be Mary Elizabeth. Why my mom picked the longest combination, I have no idea. No. But listen to how someone introduces themselves. The other thing I'll say is wait until you have permission or ask for it before you shorten somebody's name. If somebody's name is Thomas, don't call him Tom, unless he told you you could. If your name's Muhammad and I call you Mo, you might find that a little weird. Don't shorten it unless you've asked or you've been invited. The handshake should occur during the response. I say, hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth, stick out my hand, so that when they respond, I'm ready. Repeat the person's name during conversation. It'll help reinforce it in your mind. Write down, if you have somebody that has a really unusual name, I do this all the time, you'll see me doing it, I promise. Write down how it's pronounced, so when you talk to them later, you don't mispronounce it, even though you know who they are. Okay. After the initial introduction, hi, I'm Jane Smith, shake hands, then you can talk about your brand use statement or your corporate pitch, depending on why you're at the event. But the one thing I'm going to really stress here is leave the sales pitch at home. You're here to network, not sell. Selling is what you do when you take them out for coffee the next day. What you're doing here is building a network or a relationship. And here we go. This is the other one. This is the other approach I'm going to give you. If you know you met somebody before, and you do remember their name, remind them where you met them and your name. Takes the pressure off altogether, doesn't it? So for instance, if one of you, I met you at the GEW launch, you might come up to me and say, hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth. You may remember we met on Sunday at the launch. Then if I didn't, you've told me your name and you've told me where I met you before. You took all the pressure and embarrassment off of me if I don't remember you because I met 50 people that night. So if you don't remember their name, admit it. If you do and you remember where you met them, tell them. Okay, I'm going to talk about handshakes. And I'm going to say that most of this is mostly for the ladies. Just putting it out there. Handshakes are an increasingly standard business greeting. There's some keys to handshakes. Number one, look other people in the eye when you shake their hands. Don't be kind of looking around. Look at them. Extend your hands with your thumb up. None of this gangster stuff. Your thumb goes up. It's very simple. You link hands what we call web to web. Here and here should be meeting. And then you shake 3 times, maybe 4, and done. No, 15 minutes later, you're still trying to get the hand back. Here's some things you shouldn't do, and this is particularly for the ladies typically. Don't shake hands like your hand is a limp fish. This is insane. This little, have a real grip, ladies. Yalla. It doesn't mean you're a man, but have a grip. Don't, men, hold a strength contest. Have you ever seen these guys who crush each other and see who can do it the hard? We're really not going to see who is an arm wrestling champion here. You're greeting someone. And don't say, hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth, and wait until the time's passed. Then it's really weird if you stick your hand out. It's like, now your hand is supposed to go out there. Okay, I know in this region there are people who don't shake hands with the opposite sex for religious reasons. That's fine. First, respect that. But second, for those who don't shake hands, signal it, or frankly, say it, because you don't want to leave somebody hanging. I have a friend who is fabulous at this. She says, with a big smile, I'm sorry I don't shake hands. And she smiles when she does it. And I've never seen anyone be offended by it. And it's like, that takes some talent to be able to just put it out there and everybody's happy about it. So if you don't, just signal it, tell people, it's okay. Okay, so business cards. I said I was going to come back to this, and now I am. By the way, by now I would have given you a break, but I know that everybody go outside and then you won't come back in, so I'm not going to. But it's not much longer. Business cards are literally your calling card. They remind people of who you are. They help people see your name and understand it if, for instance, you're like me and Arabic's not your first language and you might not be sure exactly what the letters were that went into that. And they help us remember the people that we've met. They're also a nice place to jot down notes about people so that you remember who they were. Always, 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 always bring business cards. If you don't have any, if they're being reprinted, if, go down to Istiklal Library, buy the little ones that come on the sheets, print it out on your printer and tear them apart. It may not look as professional, but it's better than nothing. Because the last thing you want to be remembered is that guy, he didn't have business cards. What was his name? You don't want that. For a prospective or a new business, you're an entrepreneur, you're looking to start a business, what makes you look more professional than having a business card? You don't have to have lots of fancy information on it. You don't even have to have a title, frankly. I know businesses that don't put titles on business cards. I think it's a lot, but I don't mind. You may just have your cell phone number. But what you're doing is giving people the opportunity to get in contact with you later. It's important. It really is. And it shows you're serious. I mean, business cards are dirt cheap. This is not an expensive thing to print up, so print them. When you receive a business card, receive it gracefully. Thank the person for giving it to you. Treat it respectfully. Don't start shoving it in your pocket before you even finish talking to them. Remember, they paid for it. So it may be cheap, but they did pay for it. Once they've gone, write on the back where you met them and anything that you found in common with them that you want to follow up with them later. If they don't have a card, give them one of yours and ask them to write their information. Take a piece of paper. Doesn't matter. Get their details. Always give them one of your business cards. There's no business card. I know people who think, oh, that person's not worth a business card. There is no such thing in my mind. The other thing I'm going to tell you, I've had this happen, by the way. Never comment negatively on somebody's business card. Why isn't your card in Arabic? People ask me, well, I don't speak it. Why should my card be in Arabic? People call my office speaking in Arabic and think I'm going to be able to talk to them. There are a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're saying it behind their back, they might overhear you, and that would not be a good thing for your relationship. The other one is they may have different needs than yours. They may need a card that's in both languages because they may work with a lot of people who don't speak English, or a lot of people who don't speak Arabic. So don't make comments on people's cards. Okay, so connecting with others is the reason you're networking, right? It's making connections. That's what it's all about. So you want to focus on making people comfortable without making assumptions. Just because this is the first time you've seen someone at a regular meeting doesn't mean they're new. You may just not have seen them. And it can make them feel unwanted or unwelcome if you assume, oh, you're new, aren't you? Don't ask if someone remembers you. Remind them where they met you. I have people do this to me all the time, by the way. And this may be surprising, but I think I stand out a little more than most people. So it's more frequent that people remember where they met me than that I will. This is the beautiful one. The receptionist at my kid's dentist's office did this to me. It was at a family reception. She's like, hi, do you recognize me? I said, no, I have no idea who you are. I'm honest about it. You'll see this about me. I'm very honest about it. At any rate, so remind them where they met you. If you ask someone, so how's your job going? And they lost their job, that can make them very uncomfortable, very embarrassed. So instead, it might be better to say, so what are you working on this week? Which gives them an entry to tell you if they've lost their job and they're looking for one, but doesn't place on them the assumption they're still in the job that you knew about last time. Ask unusual, non-yes-no questions to find common points of interest. What's your favorite ice cream? You will find out more about someone that way than saying, so did you enjoy the forum? Yeah. Didn't learn much. What's your favorite author? Which circle do you like best? My personal favorite, I think I like the second circle, really. I think it's my favorite. Ask weird questions, because you learn more about people that way. You can ask them to tell you the best movie they've seen lately, the book that they're reading, what coffee shop they like the best. Everybody's got a feeling on that. Where's the best place to get hummus? Everybody has an opinion. May not be the same as yours, but everyone has one. Again, you want to ask questions to learn. You already know what you already know, right? So you want to learn new things. Otherwise, stay home. If you don't want to learn anything new, what's the point of going and networking and meeting new people? I have this happen a lot. I speak quickly, I admit. If someone says something you don't understand, admit it. Ask them to repeat it. It's better to get the right information than to pretend. I am becoming fairly expert at recognizing the signs. Means I didn't understand a thing you just said, but I'm not going to admit it. So admit it. And this happens, by the way, even if everybody speaks Arabic, it happens. My mother-in-law is bad about this. She smiles and does this. And I know she didn't hear me, because she needs a hearing aid, but we're not going to admit that. Okay, and one of the things you can do to make sure you have something to talk about is read up on current events. If you're going to an event, you know you're not going to know many people, read the newspaper before you go. That'll at least give you something to start the conversation with if everything else fails and they won't tell you which hummus shop they like best or what movie they recently saw or what book they're reading. Okay, so now, and I say the winner's going to get a prize and I forgot to buy the prize. I hate to admit that. Okay, false advertising. The prize is my business card. I want you guys to take 15 minutes and find something in common with as many people in this room as possible. Okay? Anything at all in common with them. Went to the same school, lived on the same street, know somebody in common. I want you to find as many people in the room that you have something in common with. And I will also state, Amman is a very small town. It is impossible that you don't have something in common with everyone in this room. So, okay, 15 minutes. Get up, talk to people. What a shame, I'm gonna make you actually move. I also want to add, if you don't find at least 2 people that you have something in common with, we're going to make you pay for the event because you're not working in it.
Circassians before?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I actually went to some period, not a long one, of a Circassian wedding.
Really?
A girl who is going to my college is from here and is Circassian.
So
And they did dancing, which was
yeah,
amazing.
Really? I used to
So
dance.
awesome.
I used to
Really?
dance, yeah. And
Why used to?
because it was a new stage when I began working, and it was sort of hard to keep up with everything.
I can
Besides,
understand.
most
You
of
got
most of
older.
the troop members are from school and university, so it was now time to quit.
Yeah.
My last concert was in Jarash. After that, they went to New Jersey.
Oh,
So
man,
I missed
you missed the
train.
trip to New
Yeah,
Jersey.
and I have cousins in New Jersey. So everything happens for a good reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Okay, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
One second.
Muhammad Abdul. How are you?
Very good.
Why is the 1 second? Why?
Because I want to make an announcement.
Oh, you want to make an announcement?
Just 1 second. All right, has everybody found at least two? Because if anybody hasn't found two, you're running behind. I'm letting you know. Not much more time.
How are you? I am very much interested in this area. I do teach a bit of this. I teach engineering, but I'm a bit center. So I go, I try. It's very easy. But I like to comment. There is cultural differences, you know. For example, you can't go if you are female somewhere from home. Take somebody with you, ignore them, take them to food. And yes, you can't go there, most of them. Even though they think they're great, whatever, because I know. This is a very, very important point here. Our culture is culture. Everybody is here. So that's really, to me, one of the very most important things which I would take 6 months course for everybody in Jordan to teach me how to get out of there. Because they're afraid, they're not afraid of God, they're afraid of Allah, they're afraid of the policeman in the street, they're afraid of their teacher, they're afraid of me because I teach them at the university. It's horrible. Not horrible. Don't be horrible. Another thing I like to, there were so many things to do. You know, I mean, what you mentioned, 50 minutes, what you mentioned in 50 minutes, maybe need 3 hours, 6 Absolutely, because I must have not misunderstand your presentations, your way of delivering it is perfect, or delivering it or making it, I don't know. You make a presentation, you're delivering it. Good. Are you sure? Is that had an argument? Because my boss in the university said, you make a presentation, don't deliver it. He said to me, you have a lecture, but you make a presentation. I don't know if he's right or not. No, he's not British. He's Jordanian from here, but he's a professor. Anyway. All right. One of the comments I'd like to make, since I do teach my students, and I'm very much interested in presentation skills. Your slides has too much information. This is a disadvantage. Don't misunderstand me, because sometimes when there is too much information on it, and when I concentrate a bit on you, I lose you. By the way, can I have the I am centered. I like to. All right. I will. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And what's really interests me more than the material is the way you present it. It's interesting. It keeps people excited. It keeps people interested. It's good. It's good.
Hi. We have found many common.
Excellent.
Yes, but we thought we may find something common between us.
Absolutely. Yeah, then let's give it a try.
So what's your study?
What did I study?
Yeah.
History. And then international business, just for a little added interest.
Well, I am a software engineer. Computer engineer.
I have managed software projects.
Yeah, good.
Computer engineer, meaning networking, hardware. I have managed those projects too. See?
So you have a good.
I've managed all of your projects.
So you have a good technical background.
I have definitely have a technical background, which is frightening given how little I know about technology. But yes. I've done software development projects. I've done rapid application development projects. I've done networking projects, system security projects.
And you did development yourself.
No, I don't do that. I'm a non-techie. I manage these kinds of projects. Yes. I'm a non-technical person. Truly, I am a non, as is obvious, because I'm a non-techie.
I realized something not found in other lectures I attended. So I got lost, went out, I get back, I don't feel lost. I always feel like there is something that
That ties it together.
Yes.
Oh, very good. Thank you. That's very nice to hear.
not also about tying. There was always something that entices you to get back.
Ah, very good.
Not like other lectures. You go for 5 minutes and then you feel lost.
You're ready to go home and go to sleep.
Yes, there is always something.
Well, good. Thank you. Excellent. Very good. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad, I know this is a technology university, but still, I'm glad you're coming to learn more about this.
Actually, that's what we lack in IT field.
Exactly. Techies, I've worked with many. They're usually very task focused,
Yes,
and they work very well with machines and often have a little trouble with people.
that's
Which is not a bad thing, but it means that things like networking are more needed. Because there's a kind of an art of dealing with people and meeting people that's techie sometimes. Okay, I hope everyone in the room has met at least 2 people that they have something in common with. And if you'll bear with me, we have just a couple of more minutes before we can go and network where they have food and drink, and I am all about food and drink. So can you guys bear with me for just a couple more minutes? Okay, I want to know who found the most people that they had something in common with. How many did you find? Okay, I have 7. 4. Okay, so 7 so far is the most. Another 4, lots of 4s. This is good. good. This is good. 4 people is not bad in 15 minutes. Did anybody beat 7? 4 and 5? Nobody beat 7. 10. 10? Really 10? Okay, but I want their names, so you're going to come and give me all their names? He's pointing. Yes, that's not good enough. You need to know their names. I know he wrote down names because I saw him count them. Okay. You guys have done a great job. I saw lots of getting up out of your seats and moving around, which is excellent. So I know this was a short example, and given that everyone, it seems like the average in the room was finding about 4 people in 15 minutes, was it easier than you thought or harder? Much easier than you thought. She came up with her own brand new while we're sitting here. That, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. And I'm going to want to hear that in just a minute. Okay, so it is easy to find things in common with people. What's hard is overcoming your fear and trying to find things in common with people. So as you become more experienced at doing this, you go to more networking activities, you will get better and better at quickly finding things in common with people and building on those things. Okay, so I really have just a tiny bit left, which is going to talk about following up and maintaining your network. When you find people when you're networking, you're going to find 2 kinds of people. The kinds of people you'd really like to get to know better, and the kinds of people that you enjoyed meeting, but you're not sure you really want to build a close relationship with them. And both types are fabulous. For the people you'd like to see again, let them know when you're going to contact them. Get their contact information. Business cards are great for this. And of course, you'll have your business card, and you'll take theirs. And if they don't have one, you'll have them write it on yours. So you want to make this as easy as possible. If you can, give them your regular phone number, your cell phone number, your email. One of the things I find is very helpful is find out how do they like to be contacted. Personally, while I love phone calls, email is best because I take class 3 mornings a week, and I have 3 small kids, and I have a business. And if you send an email, then after my kids are in bed, I can reply. I don't have to stop whatever I'm doing and talk. So while I'll talk to people on the phone anytime, email is the easiest. If you ask this of people, they know that you're sensitive to their needs. It helps set you apart in their mind. After you've told someone when and how you're going to follow up, do it. Remember that you're establishing credibility. You're telling them what they can expect from relating to you. If you say, I'll send you an email tomorrow, and 3 weeks later you send one, what they think is, I can't really depend on him. So after the event, follow through quickly and efficiently. If somebody gave you a referral or an introduction to someone else, follow through with it. Go talk to the person they referred you to and thank them for it. Reconnect with the people that you met to see if there's a way that you can help them. If you spend your time in your relationship, at least in the beginning, focusing on ways that you can help them, you will absolutely find ways that they can help you. You want to take notes on the business cards to ensure you remember who they are, what you had in common with them, what they were interested in that you could help with, or what they had that you're interested in. Look at your notes when you're at home or when you're in the office. And then, if you've made a note about something that they need that you can refer someone to them, do that. Again, you're building that relationship. Thank everyone who provides a referral or a contact. Get very good at putting together a simple but sincere thank you note. Most people don't do this, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Most people don't bother to say thank you, whether it's for a job interview, a referral. Most people just don't bother to send a thank you note or say thank you. So if you do that, you automatically set yourself apart. You help them remember you. For maintaining your network, again, you want to give back to your network. What you're really looking for is an even number of referrals that you gain and that you give from this person. If you're always giving, you're going to get tired of the relationship. But the same is true if you're always asking questions and never giving them anything. So you want to make sure there's a balance. Make sure you're responding to the needs of the people in your network, not just bringing your needs, but make sure you're listening for what their needs are. It can often help if you end up with large numbers of contacts to keep them in categories so that you know what you had in common with them or what you're going to need to follow up on later. Keep in touch with them. Let them know every once in a while what's going on with you. Find out how they're doing. Again, you can use email, you can use SMS, you can use instant messaging, you can use phone calls, you can take them for a cup of coffee. Doesn't matter how you do it, just make sure you're keeping in contact with them. If you lose touch with someone, it happens, reactivate. Invite them to a cup of coffee, or just call them and ask what their news is and what's going on. Don't be embarrassed, it's not a problem. Just catch up with them. And keep refining your ideas, keep thinking more and more about how you can help others, what you have to offer. And again, keep in your mind what it is that you're looking for. Are you looking for a mentor who can help you with how to communicate better? Are you looking for someone who can refer you to a great dressmaker? Whatever it is, keep in mind what these networking needs you have are and what you can offer to other people. So that's it. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that you took your time. I know it was a good bit of time. And at this point, as I mentioned, they have a little networking reception so you can practice these skills that we've talked about. If you have any questions, I'd love to meet everyone that was here. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it.